Catfish noodling. If you haven't heard those two words used together, here are two more words that are a bit more descriptive. Getting bit.
Oh my God, ow!
For this type of fishing, it doesn't require a rod or reel, just your hands and a bit of courage. In late spring or early summer, when the water temperature hits 75 degrees Fahrenheit, male blue and flathead catfish will begin making their nests in cavities in driftwood, inside hollowed-out logs, undercut banks, or even under boat ramps. But all those nest locations have one name to a noodler: holes. The males make these nests and then court a female to come in and lay her eggs so he can fertilize them. And as I'm sure you can reason with, they prefer a bit of privacy during this process. So when a noodler reaches his or her hand inside the nest, the catfish will often strike. And if the noodler is talented, they'll be able to grab the lower lip with both hands and hoist the fish out of the water. Only problem is you have no idea how big the catfish is in the hole. And guess what? They can reach excess of 100 pounds. And as you can imagine, this doesn't always go as planned.
Help! Help!
Welcome to the Greenway Outdoors. Originally, our plan was to meet up with pro hand fisherman Nate Williams, and we'd noodle small creeks and rivers in Oklahoma. But nature has a funny way of punching you in the face and canceling plans. Surprisingly cool temperatures and a crazy amount of rain has kept water temperatures too low, and the mating alarm clock that tells the catfish to start building a nest has not gone off yet. So we had to road trip it south to Texas in search of warmer weather and nesting catfish. As the saying goes, everything is bigger in Texas, and boy, that's fitting, because here, we wouldn't be noodling a small creek. Instead, it'd be a full-on lake. All right, we've concluded our 5.5-hour journey from Oklahoma to Texas, and in true Greenway Outdoors and Michigan style, we brought the cold weather and rain with us. Now, hopefully, the water temperatures are a little bit warmer here. I think they will be. The temperature's a little higher. Hopefully the catfish are on their nests. Now in this spot, we're gonna have to be noodling a lake as opposed to the streams that were supposed to be like waist deep or less. The lake, we're gonna be diving underwater. People die doing this every single year. I'm not trying to like sensationalize it, make it something it's not, but it's definitely on my mind that I'm gonna have to go underwater. Although I guess if we're going with anybody, we're going with like the celebrity of all noodling, Nate. He's been on tons of TV shows, and he's had about every weird experience you can imagine, from pulling giant beavers out of catfish holes. And then there's the snakes. How did you get started in all this?
So I was 12 or 13 at the time, and we thought it might be like a snipe hunt where they just try to get you outside to do something stupid, because we'd never seen pictures, we never knew anybody who actually did it. We was filling under all these logs and everything, just every once in a while I'd be like, I think I felt one, but I was probably just being immature, you know, and he was like, oh, I think I felt one. And all of a sudden I reach under this big boulder and I felt a little tail, and so I was like, hey, come over here and help me block these holes. And I reached back in there and it bit me, and I got really excited because I knew the biggest catfish I'd ever caught fishing all the time was like 10 pounds, and that one was bigger than that right off the bat.
Was it a blue or a flathead?
It was a flathead, luckily, or I might have quit then.
Yeah.
But because the blues make you want to quit every time. The flatheads is more of a surprise, and they suck you in.
Yeah.
And they open their mouth and water sucks in, but when the blues come up, they'll grab and they'll shake you, and they can go. This is through my gloves, and that's probably from those blue cat.
So it's like a slamming your hand in a car door, but the car door means it.
And it has a little bit of pricklies on it. Yeah.
Good. Oh, my car door does. No, I'm just kidding. What I know that, you know, as far as which ones are meaner now, but I get opinions from everybody. People up north that say channel cats taste the best. Then you get people that are like blues, no question. But the people that think flatheads taste the best are willing to die over it. So what camp are you in?
Flathead.
Flathead?
And
I'm willing to die.
if you clean all of them, you'll see the meat is just whiter in the flathead. And one of the reasons is the flathead only eats live bait. Well, I mean, they will eat that thing every now and then, but 99% they're like a bass, they're predator. attacking any little bait fish.
Yeah.
And blue cat will just swim in the mud eating whatever he picks up. And so when you clean a bluer channel, that meat's whitish yellow kind of. And
Yeah.
when you clean a flathead, it's usually white.
Okay.
And if you don't like the taste of fish, flathead.
The rain continued for a few more hours, which ended up being kind of a blessing because we were never bored and we got to know Nate a little bit better. Not to mention, we got a better grasp on what to expect when we finally got to head out noodling. But finally, everything but the wind seemed to have cleared.
Well, it says 60% chance of rain now, but then hour after that, it's 0%, and it looks like it's clear. So, I don't know. You wanna risk it?
Yeah, I think we'll be good. And there's a ramp like right here that I want to try, so we'll be close by to this cover if we need to get back under.
Okay. Cool.
The Greenway Outdoors is brought to you by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Motor Trend's Truck of the Year for the 3rd year in a row. And by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. The weather finally cleared and we were set to explore the lake. Because we were slightly early in the season, I threw in my 2 cents that we should try the northwest portion of the lake first because it's exposed to the most sunlight during the day and it might be a couple degrees warmer. We got off the boat in little coves and explored around old boat ramps, rock piles, and steep drop-offs in the lake.
I hate how you look like you're pooping when you do it. If that's how you poop, then you've got bigger issues than I realized.
We just used our hands and feet blindly in the muddy water that gave us 0 visibility, just feeling for a hole big enough for a catfish to squeeze into. We'd reach in and feel around the hole for a catfish and just nervously and excitedly waited for that bite to just come down on our fingers.
And then there's a hole tucked up underneath a ledge. So I gotta scrape along this and then kind of like that and then try and get bit, I guess.
It was about an hour of checking empty holes before Nate called us over to a hole that was in a rock pile right on a drop-off.
And just take an extra couple seconds to really get a hold of him before you start bringing him out. And remember, if he's not too big, put him in a headlock with your other hand.
Okay. I can hold my breath for 45 seconds, so if I'm not up in 45 seconds, come grab me.
Sounds good.
I'll give you a full minute and a half. I believe in you. You guys see the St. Louis game yesterday?
Oh, something's happening.
Yeah.
I think I heard it rumbling around in there.
The old rumbly and the tumbly.
I still don't feel anything.
You didn't? I thought I heard him. All right, let me give her a feel.
I felt your foot on my hip
Here,
and I went,
stand right
"Hey,
here.
get out.
Stand right here, and if I like tap your leg, come down and
Okay.
help me find it, okay?
Sure. I'm in there and his foot hits my hip and I thought that was the fish trying to get out, so I grab his foot real quick.
Still in there, just way in the back.
Yeah?
How big is he?
I'm not sure. He's a blue cat.
Oh, good, the mean ones. That's what I was hoping for. I was like, I want the mean ones.
If you need help, tap, tap, tap means help. But tap, 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 tap means don't help.
Don't mix them up. All right, here we go. And it's like for sure not a turtle.
Yep.
Okay.
Come up
Or a
there.
snake or a beaver. Okay.
In this murky water, vision was non-existent, but when I reached into the hole, I grabbed a giant tail. I was in desperate need of someone to come down and help me get to the head.
All right, now we play the waiting game.
Lucky for me, Nate was a little bit more attentive than my lifelong best friend.
I felt it on the side of my hand. The very first time I went in, after that I felt nothing. Oh my. How big was that?
Get me to the shallows. Get me to the shallows. We did it, man.
Oh, not yet.
Look at this thing. What a behemoth.
That's nice. First fish of the day, that's a big one.
Wow. The power and strength of this fish. Even now when I'm holding it, it's just biting down on me. Were you surprised we got it?
Yeah, because you first grabbed it by the tail, which, you know, we don't want to do that usually, but the problem is most people will be holding it by the tail and get up towards the mouth and run out of air, but you held your breath a really long time and it made it easier for us to kind of get him where we could grab his face.
That's swim team came in handy.
Yeah.
I hoisted this big fish over my shoulder so I could lift it into the boat and we could weigh it. That's when we discovered it was for sure a female.
What?
Oh, buddy,
What?
you got some caviar on your back.
Oh, it's a big female.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Ooh. Yeah. Do we let that one go?
What she is doing.
Jeff, don't even pee around me right now. I don't need anything growing out of this.
A fish this old likely wouldn't be the best eating, and the priority was to get her back in the water so she could go lay the other tens of thousands of eggs she was carrying. After catching our first blue cat that tipped the scales at just over 50 pounds, confidence was high, and now it was Jeff's turn to get on the board. He was able to get the head of a blue cat out of the hole but keep the body in. This made it possible to run the stringer through the gill and mouth, minimizing the risk of losing the fish once he pulled him out. But that didn't stop that thing from going nuts when Nate grabbed the stringer.
Come here, you. A little bit smaller. Probably a little better eater than that last one we got.
He looks like he done been beat up.
Yeah. They kind of all do, I think.
Yeah.
At least from the ones I've seen. This one got a bit of head scrapes. I don't know what he's been getting up to.
What do you think, 25 pounds?
Catfish Fight Club, maybe? Yeah, probably about 20, 25 pounds.
The habitat looked solid, so Nate and I kept looking, and I found another hole that was just really hard to get to.
In order to get back far enough, I have to get myself stuck. And then it holds me down, and then I'm good. But then when I gotta come out, it's terrifying. That's a good description, isn't it?
You have more air than you think.
Just remember that.
Be okay.
And more fingers than you need. So you're all good.
That's why the good Lord blessed you with extras.
Out of a different hole in the same rock pile, I found another fish that wasn't willing to bite, so I made the rookie move again of grabbing the tail.
Help! Help!
Tail? You got his tail.
I know.
Okay, what do you want me to do with that?
Help! I figured you know. I got him good by the tail, though.
Visibility was terrible and the hole was narrow, but I was able to flip the fish around.
I think I just bear hug him. I got the upper lip.
Whatever you want to do.
All right. Oh, God. That sounds like a dad who's like knows you're about to make a mistake. Here, will you put that
I
on
mean,
me
it may or may not work out. We know this. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. As long as you get him under one arm really good with the hand that doesn't have him in his mouth. Oh, you got him?
Good job.
We were pumped to finally get our hands on the better tasting flathead catfish for our Thai recipe. We continued looking for more, and I spent just shy of 90 minutes dealing with a small blue cat that I was absolutely hell-bent on catching. But Jeff's last fish, just see for yourself.
Oh my God! Ow!
What? What? Oh my God. Woo!
Ow! Ow! I'm fighting. What is this problem?
What you're looking at right there is quite possibly a Texas hand fishing blue catfish state record.
When I look at her, honestly, it's like she looks fake. Like she doesn't look like a real thing that's living.
Yeah.
It's so animated, over the top.
Yeah.
If you were gonna catch a monster, that's the one.
She's an old broad.
Clean it up.
On today's episode, Jeff noodled a giant blue catfish that may have even broken some hand fishing records and likely weighed over 100 pounds. My catfish ruined our digital scale by yanking it into the water, so we'll never know for sure. Even so, we released her with a belly full of eggs, ready to reproduce more strong offspring like her. Right after we let her go, our director AJ said, "She's just a fish story now, that only some will believe. She's like folklore." That struck me as kind of funny at first because it was so real to me. The excitement, her massive body, my emotions, the whole experience is now a part of me. It reminds me of my relationship with God. Some call the stories in the Bible just folklore, but I know it's true. I feel it. And Christ is also a part of me. The blue and flathead catfish are very similar species, but they have a few key differences. The blue catfish is slightly larger than the flathead, and the flathead feeds almost exclusively on live fish, while the blue cat is an opportunistic feeder, eating anything from dead animals, dead fish, crustaceans, mussels, or even frogs. Neither species is under any kind of endangered status, and their numbers are very stable, thanks to respectful anglers following creel limits and purchasing a fishing license to help fund conservation. A couple points worth noting. The blue catfish is one of the only species in the Mississippi River capable of eating adult Asian carp, and therefore helping fight off that terrible invader. Conversely, their willingness to eat just about anything has them in hot water in Chesapeake Bay because they're out competing native fish in those waters, and now they're considered a pest. While I have so much love for this fish, not every ecosystem is ready for them. But don't forget, many ecosystems absolutely depend on them. The Greenway Outdoors is brought to you by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Motor Trend's Truck of the Year for the 3rd year in a row. And by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here.
While catfish may be an American staple and especially enjoyed in the deep south of America, we're gonna mix it up with a Thai food recipe that I think you're gonna enjoy. Let's get started. First thing we're gonna do, a little vegetable oil, just enough to coat the bottom of the pan. We're gonna let that get hot and shimmery. Now that we got a good glow, we'll start with our first ingredients. These are the Thai chili peppers. Ooh, those will clear your nostrils out nice. Next thing we're gonna add is the garlic. So we got some aromas going on in here. Next, we're going to add the mushrooms. Get those going there. Those take a little bit longer to cook. And then the Thai chili paste. And then we're gonna mix all this around for about 2 to 3 minutes. Letting it cook nice. That smells good, but it smells like Pei-Wei on steroids in your face. All right, that is looking about like it's supposed to. So we are going to add the fish sauce, the soy sauce. I got the MSG in here as well, the oyster sauce, and that's a different smell right there. We're also going to add our sugar. Keep all this moving so it doesn't burn. And we're gonna add our catfish fillets. We went with the blue catfish. Put those fillets in there. Gonna start cooking down. Cook that for a few minutes, and we're gonna add some more ingredients. We've got 2 to 3 minutes going. We're gonna flip this guy over. I wanna do it nice and gentle. Got a nice little brown tinge on the other side. Now this dish already has a pretty strong scent. Now, you might wanna be courteous. You got a pregnant woman in the house, we're gonna add the eggplant in now. You might not want to cook it, might make them a little bit sick having such a strong scent in the house, but with a lot of strong smells, you have a lot of great flavor. And if you're someone like Jeff, he would probably order this at a restaurant, get on an airplane, eat it around everyone else and feel nothing. So there's something for everybody. We'll add the rest of the ingredients here in this hodgepodge recipe Jeffrey put together. It's starting to look more and more appetizing as I go though, if I'm being honest. Get all this stuff stirred around nice. I've kind of kept the fillets together. Don't know that you need to. You can probably break them up. I'm gonna keep this stuff kind of going in a pile here while the fish cooks whole up here. That way I can mix these around good. All right, so we've got a plate of jasmine rice. And this looks all cooked well. The fish is a little bit stiffer. It wants to flake apart. All the ingredients are cooked. Eggplant looks good. So now we're going to plate it over rice. Perfect. One of the things I forgot to mention that I do want to mention is that when we clean this catfish, we made sure we cut off all the fat around the belly. That's what holds a lot of the PCBs and also the negative foul taste that some people claim you get with catfish. Cut that off and you get this. Wow, it's got a kick, but man, is it good. I like Thai food, I like spicy food, I like trying new things. If you go out and catch a bunch of catfish with your hands or with a rod and reel, this recipe won't upset you as long as you like a little bit of kick. This recipe and many others can be found at thegreenmayoutdoors.com. Thanks so much for tuning in and stay green.
On today's episode, we hand fish for catfish. And while you don't need much equipment for this trip, the stuff you do need is very important. First thing on the list is water shoes. Now, while you may hand fish in a variety of different waters, oftentimes you're right around sharp rocks and different objects that can be hiding under the muddy water, so water shoes are good for protecting your feet. Number 2 is gloves, and while we had gloves while we were there, I think knit gardening gloves would have worked much better. That knitting would allow the teeth to get kind of caught up in there, whereas leather gloves or athletic gloves tend to get slippery when wet. Then you want to make sure you have a long sleeve shirt. I had a dry fit athletic shirt as the long sleeve just to kind of protect your arms. Even so, I was pretty bruised up, but at least I didn't have any scratches due to the shirt protecting me. Next up is a long stick, and you can find those along the riverbank or near the lake. But they do make specific sticks for poking fish in the catfish holes. Using a stick can help you feel if there is a fish in there and maybe even help coax them out. And last up is a stringer. Once you've got the fish out of its hole, or even when it's part way out, you're going to want to get it on a stringer as soon as possible for the sake of not losing them. Now that you know what you need for this exciting form of fishing, I hope it'll inspire you and your friends to get out during nesting season and try and get bit.